You know, sometimes Micah Parsons just finds a way to catch everybody off guard. And I'm not talking about on the field with a sack or a big-time play. This time, it was off the field. It all started with a video that had fans scratching their heads and even coaches looking around like, wait, what just happened? Picture this. It's late at night. You're a coach, your phone rings, and it's your star player calling. What's your first thought? Be honest. Most people would assume the worst. Maybe an emergency, maybe trouble. That's exactly what happened to Cowboys offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer when he picked up that call from Micah. The tone in his voice said it all. You all right? Everything okay? You could almost hear his heart drop in real time. But what happened next? That's where things get wild. Micah didn't call to report anything. He didn't call with complaints. He didn't even want to talk football. He simply said, I just wanted to say goodnight. And let that sink in for a second. This man, one of the fiercest, most dominant players in the NFL, picked up the phone to check in on his people, player by player, coach by coach, just to spread love. It was one of the most unexpected, genuine gestures you could imagine. No headlines, no PR stunt, just Micah being real. In a world where athletes are always under the microscope, this moment was as raw and human as it gets. And the reactions? Man, they were priceless. You could tell some guys didn't know how to respond, at first. There was that awkward pause, that nervous laugh. But then they leaned into it. Love you too, bro. You made my night. Appreciate you, man. You could feel the energy shift in those short calls, especially with Schottenheimer. Once he realized everything was fine, you could hear the tension melt away. The vibe turned into one of those rare, powerful connections where respect meets trust. That's culture, right there. That's a team growing together. So here's the question I want to throw to you. Do you think gestures like this actually matter in a locker room? Or are they just feel-good moments that fade fast? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them. And hey, if you believe this kind of brotherhood could push the Cowboys to a deeper playoff run this year, hit that like button. Let's get this video out to more real fans like you. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're pushing hard for that 14,000 subscriber milestone. Let's hit that together. Now let's step back and really talk about what Micah Parsons did with that video. Because this wasn't just some random late-night idea. No, it was a calculated move with heart behind it. And if you know anything about team dynamics in the NFL, you know culture is king. Talent will win games, sure. But culture? That's what wins seasons. And in a Cowboys locker room that's been under constant pressure, a move like this carries more weight than a highlight reel sack. Think about where this team stands. Coming off another season that ended in disappointment, the narratives are swirling. Is this roster truly ready to contend? Is Mike McCarthy the right voice? Is the locker room fully united? These are the questions that hang over every team meeting, every practice, every press conference. And then Micah steps in, not with words to the media, not with a tweet, but with actual action behind the scenes. That's leadership in its purest form. Quiet, personal, intentional. And here's what really stands out. Micah didn't have to do this. He's not the quarterback. He's not the longest tenured Cowboy. But in that moment, he showed what kind of heartbeat he brings to this franchise. A guy who's not just chasing sacks, but building bonds. That good night message may seem small, but it landed like a thunderclap. Why? Because it reminded every player, every coach, that they're seen, that they matter. In a league where it's easy to feel like just another number, that feeling is priceless. Now here's where I want your input. Do you believe Micah Parsons is stepping into a new phase of his career? Not just as a star player, but as the emotional leader of this team? Do you think this is his way of claiming more than just stats, maybe even the heart of the locker room itself? Vote in the poll right now. I'm dropping it at the top of the screen. And hit the comments with your thoughts. Is this the kind of thing that sets the tone for a championship run? Or do you think they still need more vocal leadership from somewhere else? We've got more to break down because this moment is just the tip of the iceberg. Up next, we're diving into how this unexpected gesture connects to Brian Schottenheimer's vision for the offense and why it may be exactly what the Cowboys need in 2025. Don't go anywhere. All right, now let's connect the dots. Because Micah's video wasn't just a feel-good moment in a vacuum. It actually lines up with something bigger happening behind. The scenes in Dallas. Brian Schottenheimer's quiet influence. Yeah, I know. When people think of leadership on this team, they look to Dak Prescott or Dan Quinn before anyone brings up Schottenheimer. But here's the thing. His fingerprints are all over this culture shift. Remember, Schottenheimer isn't just the offensive coordinator. He's a football lifer. A guy raised around locker rooms, trained in building chemistry, not just game plans. His style? It's old school in the best way. He believes in relationships first, football second. And when you see a defensive star like Micah crossing the ball to lift up the offense, it tells you something about the tone being set from the top. Sources close to the team have been saying it for months. Schottenheimer has been pushing for more unity, more connection across the roster. Less offense versus defense and more Cowboys versus everybody. And when you look at how the offseason has gone so far, those joint training sessions, the way players are, hyping each other up on social, it's no accident. The lines are blurring, and that's by design. So what does that mean for this season? Well, if Schottenheimer's message is getting through, we're looking at a team that's finally playing as one. No silos, no side-eye between units. That's the kind of thing that doesn't show up on a stat sheet, but you feel it on third downs. You feel it in December when legs are tired and motivation has to come from within. And you better believe it shows up when the playoffs hit and everything's on the line. Here's a question for you. Do you think Brian Schottenheimer deserves more credit for shaping this team's chemistry? Let's be real. He's not flashy. But are we starting to see his value in the way the team's coming together? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're feeling bold, tell me what grade you'd give him for the job so far. A? B? Something lower? Because we're not done yet. In the next chapter, we're going to zoom in on how the younger players, especially this year's draft picks, are feeding off this energy. You won't believe the ripple effect this kind of leadership is having on the rookies. Stick with me. So now that we've got a clear picture of how Schottenheimer's leadership is resonating through the team, let's talk about how that energy is impacting the youngest guys on the roster. Those 2025 draft picks and undrafted rookies who are just stepping into the star for the first time. You've probably noticed it. Already, there's a different vibe coming out of rookie minicamp this year. It's not just about the drills or who ran a fast 40. It's about how these new players are fitting in so quickly, and that doesn't just happen by luck. Take a guy like Maurice Lufau. He's a rookie, but he's already out there communicating like a vet, talking pre-snap with safeties, helping with alignment, soaking up everything from Micah and DeMarvion Overshown. That kind of integration used to take weeks, sometimes months. Now, it's happening in days. Or how about Ryan Flournoy? This kid came in with a chip on his shoulder, and instead of fading into the background, he's been lighting up practices. But what really stands out isn't just his roots, it's the way Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb are pulling him aside, coaching him up, pushing him. That doesn't happen unless the locker room has the right culture. And again, that goes back to Schottenheimer's emphasis on connection and mutual accountability. Even Donovan, Ezeiruaku, the pass rusher we've all been excited about, he's feeding off the veterans. DeMarcus Lawrence has been mentoring him, and Micah, he's treating him like a little brother. That's rare in this league, especially when roles and snaps are on the line. But this group isn't letting egos get in the way, and that's the key. So let me ask you this. Do you think this rookie class is benefiting more than previous ones because of the culture shift? And which rookie are you most excited to see step up in training camp? Drop that in the comments, and let's get a little early prediction game going. Who's your dark horse rookie to make a real impact? Now, coming up in the next chapter, we've got to talk about what this all means for the upcoming season. Expectations, pressure, and the one question that no one in the front office can afford to get wrong. Yeah, we're going there. Don't miss it. All right, so here we are. We've walked through the vibe around the facility, the tone Schottenheimer's setting, the way it's fueling veterans, igniting rookies, and reshaping expectations. But now, let's get real. What does all of this actually mean for the Dallas Cowboys in 2025? Because at the end of the day, the NFL doesn't hand out trophies for good vibes. It comes down to wins, playoff runs, and whether or not this team can finally break through the wall that stopped them short for nearly 3 decades. And here's where things get serious. This coaching staff, led by McCarthy but now heavily influenced by Schottenheimer's steady hand, knows the margin for error is razor thin. They've got to hit the ground running, not just in September, but all through the summer. These OTAs, these mini camps, this training camp, it all matters. And it's all being watched, from Jerry Jones down to every single Cowboys fan who's been riding this emotional roller coaster since the 90s. You can already feel it. This offense might not look the same. That's not a bad thing. What we're seeing is a more streamlined approach. Fewer gimmicks, more efficiency, and a focus on letting Dak Prescott be the guy without asking him to be Superman every snap. It's about trust. It's about accountability. And honestly, it's about results. The pressure is real. But here's the flip side. This might also be the most balanced Cowboys team we've had in years. There's veteran leadership in every position group. There's emerging young talent pushing for playing time. And there's a coordinator in Brian Schottenheimer who understands that it's not about doing the most. It's about doing the right things consistently and getting the best out of everyone. So now it's your turn to weigh in. Do you believe this version of the Cowboys is finally built to handle the pressure, to make a deep playoff run? Or do you think we're in for another round of deja vu heartbreak? Be honest. Drop your thoughts below. And hey, if you're still watching at this point, you're part of that diehard group. You know the game. You love this team, and you want the truth. So here's a challenge. Name one move the Cowboys still need to make before Week 1. Could be a trade, a cut, a coaching tweak. What's the one thing you'd do if you were in charge? All right, that's it for now. But don't go far. We've got a ton more coming. Training camp battles, roster projections, and yeah, plenty more Schottenheimer analysis. So stay locked in, and as always, go Cowboys.